Welcome to the Business Spotlight podcast. My name is Kay Cote, and I'm your host here on the show today. And today I have Alex Conroy, CEO of Esotech, as my guest. We're going to be learning about his business, his journey to business ownership, best practices that he's learned, and some challenges that he's faced to let you know what it's like to own and operate a business. If this is your first time on our channel, be sure to like and subscribe to get notified when we drop episodes like this. Welcome, Alex. Thanks for being on the show. It's great to have you here.
Thanks for inviting me. Appreciate it.
Of course. Well, before we dive into all things business, I'd love to learn a little bit about you. Can you share a bit about yourself?
Yeah. I'm a kind of a tech guy, but I've done a lot of things in my life. I've got a master's degree in comparative religious studies, know a little bit about Eastern and Western mysticism. I've got a bachelor's in psychology, and now I run a tech company, both as the CEO and lead developer of a company about 23 people. Currently married. I live in Round Rock, Texas. Bought a house out here 6 years ago. I'm originally from Miami, Florida. Went to California when I turned 30 for a bit due to some issues with the business and personal life. And then from there, got too expensive to live. So it was like, well, what's got taxes similar to Florida, but you know, not that. And I also married a barrel racer, so I had a horse to bring over too. So it also had te horses. So Texas it is. And ever since I got here, now I got 8 of those dang horses.
Oh my gosh, that is super cool. Do you guys have like a horse farm or where do you guys?
We keep them in a stable in Belton, in a barrel racing farm because they're barrel racing horses. So
Oh,
my wife's a barrel racer. So I'm more of a stay at home, work from home gamer. And I played Dungeons and Dragons video games since the late 90s. EverQuest. Never got into World of Warcraft, for those of you out there that know what that is. Um, I still game every so often, but have had less and less time as I get older.
oh, well, thanks for painting that picture. That's a fun story. Well, love that you're in Texas and enjoying it here. So I'd love to dive into, you mentioned you have 23 people on the team, but let's hear, how did the business get started? What was your why?
So it's the idea started as an employee of an insurance call center. So we're a CRM and dialer platform for insurance agencies, specifically in the insurance market. So we don't have necessarily a direct competitor. We have competitors on the dialer side or the telephony side, and we have competitors on the CRM side, right? Salesforce would be an example competitor for the CRM side, which usually you're really big if you're going to be using Salesforce. And then the other side, which is the dialer, would be things like Convoso, Five9. So we're an all-in-one and a kind of a call center out of the box. So that concept started when I was a call room man. I got a job as a call room manager doing SEO, or as an IT manager, not a call room manager, but as actually like their IT, and wanted to see how their sales were doing. And they handed me a binder with paper, handwritten sales one by one. And I'm like, well, you have a digital copy? And they're like, well, it's on that computer over there, but nobody knows the password anymore. And I'm like, so it's obviously not up to date. Google Docs was new at the time and Google Sheets. So I made a virtual version of what they were doing in Google Sheets so they could actually not have to call in the call center to figure out how many sales were made. So they love that. But then I realized I'm like, what they really need is a relational database management system. And I took 3 months of my own time to figure out creating a basic authentication system, users, converted that Google Sheet to a website basically, and showed it to them, and they loved it. They were like, "Wow, keep going." So after a year, automated so many processes from payroll to HR to integrated a really crappy dialer at the time, but it was still better than most of the things that were out there in 2007 to 2009 era. And then eventually I left that company and started an SEO company with a partner of mine. Esotech was originally a computer repair company. That's how I put myself through college. And then eventually became an SEO company, digital marketing company, that eventually realized that most people don't know how to do technical SEO. So it became more of a web dev company for SEO. And then after that, but eventually someone approached me to build a similar platform to what I had built for my original employer that was still paying me for that platform to support it for many, many years. And that's when I created our SaaS product, TLD CRM, or Total Lead Domination CRM. It had a name before that. It originally started as a partnership of four, and that was a terrible idea. Having people that are in the call center space and in the insurance space also own a platform where other people's data is on it, was not a good thing. So there were issues with, the partners wanting to look at other people's data, using that data for things that they're not supposed to do. And I was the only one with the keys to the kingdom. I denied them access to the systems and told them, hey, they made it multi-tenant so that they could bring their downlines in it. So they were technically under contract with that primary agency, but they're still stealing their data. So I gave the downlines the ability to kick them off the platform, and you should have seen the phone call I got once everyone did it. Uh, and all of a sudden their sales went up, and I told them, I said, listen, if you can get the call center to agree to add you back on the account, I'll do it. No problem. And was never able to convince them to do that. So we went through a name rebrand. It used to be the Lead Depot because the company we made it for was known as the Benefit Depot. And eventually in 2015, when it was just a CRM at the time. In 2015, when I moved to California, due to some personal issues that were happening, the business wasn't going good. TLD wasn't doing good. We had federal debt, a whole bunch of problems, 2015 era. I got offered a CTO job for an influencer marketing company out in California, went and did that. Had been recently divorced as well after a 13-year relationship, and partied my butt off and learned and lived life in California for a good 3 years. It was fun. During that time, though, I gained control of both Esotech and TLD. So Esotech, I gained my 50/50 partnership back from my partner because for loan forgiveness, and my and TLD itself, the money guy who was putting in the piddly $3,000 a month development budget to actually make it, didn't want to pay that anymore. So he convinced the rest of the partners to dissolve the LLC and let me keep running it. So everyone got a copy of the software as is in 2015. So once that happened, I decided to move further inland in California. I decided to basically focus more on building the SaaS part of the business. Added the dialer then after the partnership had ended. And that's when the real success started, was that combination dialer and on top of the CRM. And it's really what like separated us from the rest of the industry. So if you don't have your own IT team, your own infrastructure people, your own, CTOs and stuff like that, you can use our software very easily and, do almost everything that all the big boys do. And then moved, started doing really well and decided that, well, I'm not really doing much in California. Most of my clients are in Florida anyway, so let's move to Texas, right? And that's where we ended up landing, kind of on a whim. It's like, let's get out of here because the taxes are increasing in California. Business practices and laws and payroll laws are terrible. I've been, that's I had one employee that I paid him for his lunch hour, so like he just didn't come off the clock. Then he comes after me and he says, "Hey, you never paid me, you never gave me my lunches, and I'm supposed to get them by law." So I ended up having to pay him for 3 years worth of lunches that I already paid him for, right?
Oh my gosh.
Because he never clocked out and I didn't have any evidence of the clock out. So things like that are really, really stupid to me. I'm trying to do something good for someone, they're gonna come and bite me in the butt. Not the first time that's happened, doing something good for someone and having it bite me in the butt, but it's been a journey with things like that. So California wasn't business friendly enough for us. We do have some clients out there, but and I just do still have a couple employees in there, but I won't hire from there anymore.
Hmm.
It's just they're too draconian with their laws. I'm not trying to hurt people that are my employees. We're probably one of the only tech companies that doesn't outsource. All of our employees are W-2 with 401k, with matching, and with health benefits. And I did that because I want my employees to be happy working for me and working for us, overall, and to see this as more of a career than just a job.
Hmm.
We offer a lot of upward mobility and upward opportunity. I've had some people that came in as a customer support rep, and now they're executives in the company making six figures. So, um, and they're learning every day, right? But the core of the job, what they wanted to do was they did it well, right? So
Mm,
if you're working for me, if you see a need and you can fill it, and you're like, I'm going to take the extra time to do it, you'll be rewarded for it. I'm not just going to be like, here's your new responsibility. You're not getting paid anything extra. You know.
definitely. Well, thank you for sharing about the company and about the growth that you've seen over the years. So the company, when did it start? I know you mentioned 2015 was a pivot point, but what was the year you launched the company?
No, the company was founded in 2008,
Okay,
right?
perfect.
And then it was an SEO company, became an SEO company a few years later. And then the SaaS platform, what TLD CRM itself was built in 2013.
Okay,
That's when it
perfect.
started as a CRM. That was before it was multi-tenant, before it was a business, a
Hmm.
separate business. It was built for a client.
Okay. Wonderful. Well, looking at like it sounds like you've got something really amazing that you're building here and have built. And I'd love to hear about, who your ideal client is. If you were like if I were to check out your website or come through your doors, how would I know I'd be a good fit for you?
So it's funny because we don't do any marketing or advertising. This is my first time doing a podcast, and we normally go to conferences, right? Because most of our clients are all B2B. The ideal client for me is a insurance brokerage or agency with 15 or more users under their agency. That would be users in the system. We do have a minimum of 15 users. We're meant for boiler rooms, believe it or not. If you ever heard the term boiler room,
Not in this,
ever
not in
watched like well, there's a movie called Boiler Room, right? Where you have basically a bunch of people in a call center and they're all making calls. So there's like a buzz in the background. They're all kind of feeding off of that energy, but it's very high volume, right? So it's the dialer's making the outbound dials for you. It's taking inbound calls. It's distributing it to the agents. So the agents are can't well they can be hands on, but they're relatively hands off. They're just waiting for the next call, doing the pitch, make the sale, get off the phone, just do it again, right?
hmm
So that's why a 15 users minimum is due to having to run the dialer, and also because we've noticed that accounts under 15 or 10 users tend not to do so well. It's too much system for too few people, right? It's like overkill. If you're a brick and mortar with two or three, agents, there's other platforms out there for you that are much slower and lower volume. A lot of our clients buy inbound leads or inbound calls.
hmm
And when you're buying inbound calls, the vendors will prefer you if you have enough agents available to keep sending you calls. But if you're like a three-man operation and your three people are always on the phone, they don't have an opportunity to send their marketing calls to you, so it ends up causing more problems due to just the lack of a pool to distribute the calls to. And our system does exceptionally well track these types of calls and distribute them, and even allow for these third-party vendors to check for agent availability, which is it's funny because I added that piece of the system like this would be nice to have, and now it's become the 75% of our traffic is checking for availability. Get over 8 million pings a day just to see if there's an agent available across multiple vendors on multiple accounts. So scaling has been a challenge and been very interesting to be able to handle that level of traffic. You know.
Oh, well, that's like a great segue into, I'd love to tackle a challenge that you're currently going through. You mentioned scaling. What currently are your challenges there?
So the biggest challenges with scaling is both infrastructure and employees, right?
Mhm.
Finding a technically competent employee that wants to also own the product, so I don't have to own the product myself anymore, has been a challenge. Particularly because I am so involved in the core level coding of the platform, making it more efficient, making it faster, making it more cost effective for us. We have amazing response times and we have real time support. So a lot of times I'm also dealing with clients. I'm also doing CEO duties, which is going to conferences, talking to people, reassuring clients, coming up with new ideas, and all this other stuff. So my biggest challenge has been whether or not I'm better at the CEO stuff than I am at as a developer, as the lead dev, right? Because I'm the one that made the platform. I built it from the ground up.
Hmm.
And we currently have other product ideas that I want to start working on. So like a generic dialer for other industries. We're looking into breaking into the mortgages and home services space. So, we're now reaching out actively, talking with people in that space that are already doing online marketing and call centers so that we can see, can we match this use case so we understand it, and then we can replicate it for others, right? And then we can market that. But the biggest challenge has been finding like really good, talented developers that are doers, right? There's plenty of people out there that are theory people. Like I absolutely hate consultants because of that. They're just like, well, this is how it should work and blah blah. I don't have I'm a fast talker. I don't have time for the fluff, right? I need someone's like, okay, here's the best way to do it, and here's why, and then let's go do it. And then I'll be like, can you do it? And they say yes, and say, okay, I'll pay you to do it. And then if you do it, great, right? That's kind of more of what I'm looking for. In the other side of scaling is from an infrastructure perspective. making sure that our cost model makes sense for the infra that we have to run. Particularly because since we deal with insurance, we also have to deal with HIPAA and PCI and PHI compliance, and security and all those other things. So like we recently got SOC 2 Type 2 done, and we even underwent a CMS audit, that we initiated so that we could do integrations with government systems. And that cost us 90 grand, but we passed. But unfortunately, the systems we were integrating with never gave us the approval. It never gave us a denial. We never gave anyone an approval last year because of the vast amount of fraud in the space.
Mm,
Segueing toward the vast amount of fraud, because there's a lot of fraud in ACA in particular. ACA is also known as Obamacare or known as healthcare.gov, the exchange, right? It's got a lot of different names.
mhm,
We were watching the fraud in the middle of it. Our system wasn't responsible for it, but what the agencies were doing and what the vendors were doing, we thought was really questionable. And it turns out that there was a lot of really bad things going on, and we were kind of like watching in the middle. Because of that, though, we've had this year policies are changing on the CMS side, commissions are changing on the carrier side, and a lot of the ACA call centers are shrinking or pausing or kind of in a holding pattern until they figure out what's actually being announced for the next open enrollment, which is November. So that's why we're looking into other industries, because if the ACA market does fall apart, then we want to mitigate our risk a little bit by getting into something else that's a little more stable. And not only that, but like home services is 5 times bigger than the insurance market itself. So it gives us a larger market cap
mhm,
to go after. And again, it's not the funny thing is that marketing and advertising has never been the problem, right? Because we don't do any of that. Everything is referral based. You put me in front of in a conference for people looking for leads and platforms, stuff like that, and we're going to come back with like 5, 10 people that are ready to sign up. We have gotten so popular to the point where we have a wait list during open enrollment. So if you try to sign up after October 20th, I believe it is, you have to wait till next year. We don't take any new clients from October to December because you're kind of late to the game. And what ends up happening is you have people that are trying to start their business in a panic and a rush, and it never works out well,
mm,
right? So, but it's funny because every year we've signed up the entire wait list. Like there hasn't been one that we lost.
mm,
We've done that for the past 3 years, which is my staff loves me for that because it definitely is. Because what happens is during open enrollment, people scale up. They have all these new projects they want to do. They have all the stuff going on because the government's marketing for you, right? The government's saying, get your insurance. It's open enrollment, November 1st. Go, 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 right?
mhm,
So we end up increasing in users and usage during those 2 months in particular. And then once we hit like the current period, which is April, May, it shrinks back down a little bit, kind of evens out. About past 3 years, we've actually increased during the off season, which is odd. But
mm.
this year, because of the problems in ACA, we've kind of steadied out. We've still grown from last year, month to month, year to year, but it would have been a much bigger growth had we not had all these people pause.
Definitely. Well, it sounds like you're finding ways through through the growth. Are there any other parts of the current challenges that are things you are working through? We like to just like have this be a transparent opportunity for other businesses to learn from you. So what are some of the other things you're seeing as you're going through these growth periods or expanding into other markets?
Hmm, just time, really. I mean, money's not an issue, but time and talent is. Finding talent is the biggest challenge, and then finding the time to do all the things that I want to set out to do, and even to write it down to delegate it is difficult. Um, I'm an idea person. I talk through things and I get ideas in real time. It doesn't mean I'm going to do all of them. Just means I've got a lot of things on my plate. I have a development log that's millions of like not millions, but like hundreds of things that I want to do that haven't been done yet. And the hardest thing is finding the focus time, right? So normally, personally speaking, I used to stay up for 2 days at a time working, then go to sleep for like a day, right? Or stay up extremely late at night, wake up at 12. I recently, over the past 2 months, have changed that pattern, and I've been waking up in the morning, going to the gym in the morning, going to bed on time at night, and I feel miserable. I feel
Mm,
lack of focus. I don't feel like myself. It's terrible because, I've been using an Aura ring tracker to figure out my sleep patterns. If I sleep during the day, I get deep sleep. If I sleep at night, I don't. I have a rare chronotype that is late evening is when my mind starts getting started. So I've always been a very slow start. So I'm eating healthy. I'm doing all these things. My health and my stats and my health are great now. Like I'm almost perfect. Like ideal for someone 40, that's 41. But you know, I wish I could just go back to not sleeping for 2 days, vaping all day long, things like that, because I can also quit that at the same time. So it feels like I'm more stressed out living a healthy life, which is kind of funny. I've been telling a lot of people about this lately because I'm like, man, I wish I could just go back. Um, so trying to reclaim my time has been the biggest challenge as a CEO, as an owner. Again, I'm the sole owner, so everything is resting on me. And the reason why I'm still only sole owner is I just can't have other people telling me what to do, and partnerships are just rife for abuse. And after working with over 350 agencies and seeing all the issues that happen with partnerships within them, it's pretty bad. So one word of advice I have to see other CEOs and entrepreneurs is be careful who you partner with, because it's kind of like getting married, and a lot of times that happens much quicker than you don't have much of a dating period, and then realize that person is not aligned with your goals. And
mm,
my second piece of advice is that people do change as well. So while you may have a partner that's great for 5, 10 years, all of a sudden goes off the deep end, has a kid, gets married to some crazy lady or man or whatever. And next thing you know, they're no longer involved with the business, but still collecting a check. And you're sitting there holding the bags and doing it. I see that happen all the time with other entrepreneurs where
mm,
you'll have two partners. They're super excited to get started. They have a really, really good and hard start. And then one falls off. And then the other one, and then it becomes a whole lawsuit thing where one guy's suing the other for their percentage because they're not doing their thing. And then, or one of the owners is going to end up opening up a backup company to start funneling clients into, which I've seen happen very often, particularly in insurance agencies. So if you are going to do a partnership with someone, make sure you craft the term sheet in your favor, right? Meaning you want to have everything clearly defined, what's expected of each person, so that it's legally binding. So that way, if you do need to split from your partnerships, you don't have to be in the situation that I was in where I had no power, but because I was the one doing everything, when I said I told the way that I got my companies back was I told everyone, I'm like, I'm done. I'm leaving. I'm going to go live the California dream. Go become a tech entrepreneur or tech excuse me, CTO in California. And they're like, well, without you, what's the company? I'm like, well, I'm not getting paid, so and that leverage is what gave me the ability to gain it all back. I still had to play it smart, right? Um, I kind of don't want my ex partners. I don't even talk to them anymore. Like to know how well I'm doing because
yeah.
you know how people are. Even if it's been 7, 8 years now, it's been 2015. Yeah. So actually 10 years now. Uh, and again, like I'm a big fan of, become a big fan of organic growth. I'm making enough money. I'm happy with what I make. I am more interested in building jobs now for people in the United States. I feel it's the most patriotic thing a not so patriotic person can do is to make jobs. And you know, explosive growth, while it seems like a great idea, and I'm sure there's ways to do it, I'm not as concerned with, especially if it requires me taking on investment capital. But I've gained enough capital in reserve so that if I really did have a project that I want to, I could probably self-fund it, right? So
Mhm.
why bring in a partner? The only thing that I'm currently learning a lot about like venture capital and private equity, things that a CEO should know that I don't know because I don't come from a formally trained CEO background, or owner background. But just in case I ever do want to sell, because I don't currently have an exit plan, I kind of want to stay a player in the game and not just make another company that gets gobbled up by one of the Fantastic Seven, or what do they call Magnificent Seven, right? Um, so it's like, well, all right, well, what do I need a partner for? Unless there's maybe a strategic partner that can bring some kind of value add, like talent and things like that. But those
Mhm.
are hard to quantify,
Mhm.
right? Those kind of things. Like I've been pitched, I've got private equity contacting me every other day. I've sat with some of them just to like see, and I'm like, okay, so you can give me money, like I don't need it. What else do you bring to the table?
Hmm.
It's kind of nice to be in that position though,
Yeah.
because I'm not struggling. We obviously have our struggles, ups and downs, but we're profitable, and I've always run a very tight budget. It's like, okay, I follow one simple rule: if there's more money in the bank at the end of the month than there was prior, then you're doing good. Otherwise, you gotta start making some adjustments.
Definitely. Definitely. Well, wow, this has been such a great conversation and just learning about your businesses, your business and what you're working towards and some of the challenges you're currently faced with. It just really gave an insight to help, other businesses too who are going through it. And, before we wrap up for the call today, I'd love to connect folks with your company. How can people get in touch with you?
I mean, if they're looking to talk to me directly, they can find me on Twitter. You can always, that's probably the easiest way. I'm on there all the time, using my username at GEILT. It's a five-letter username, and you can also find out my other social properties using that same GEILT.com. It's like my little pseudonym, my personal brand. And if they're looking to like get a demo of the system, then just contact sales at tldcrm.com or sales at esotech.com. And we have our onboarding specialist. Her name is Haiti. She'll basically book a meeting, give you a quick demo, and show you what the system does. So it's pretty easy. We're kind of traditional with that sense, Hey, you want to see it? Book a demo. We'll explain to you all the pricing, all this other stuff. Then we go straight into onboarding if they're interested.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Alex. Before we wrap up the call, I'd love to ask one more final question for the day, which is, what is most inspiring to you today?
Inspiring? Hmm, that's a tough one. The the po which is something that I'm kind of working on, is the possibility of having children. Yeah.
Aw.
So that's
Yeah.
currently inspiring. It's something that I really do want, and there's been struggles along the way for myself, and uh, it's what's kind of driving me forward at the moment. But I'm also extremely worried and kind of concerned that it might not happen.
Yeah. Oh, well, thank you for sharing that. And again, thank you for being a guest on the podcast. And I wish you well with everything you're working on.
All right, thanks so much.